Hey everybody, it's Jason with the Board Game Mechanics, and today we're going to take a look at a game called Splendor Duel. Splendor Duel is a game published by Space Cowboys. It's in their two-player line. Designed by Marc-Andre and Bruno Catala. Plays two players only, and in, 30 minutes. All that feels pretty accurate time-wise. I mean, everything else is accurate because that's what it is. So effectively what this game is, this is a two-player only version of the classic game Splendor. Now, it's not the same. It has some of the same DNA, but this plays completely different. So if you've never heard of Splendor, you don't know anything about it, this game is completely different and stands up on its own right. So we're not going to talk about a ton of the comparisons right here, but let's just go around the table, see how this one plays, and then when we come back, we'll talk about how they're the same, how they're different, and what we think. All right, so here's the game of Splendor Duel all set up. Normally I would say for a two-player game, but this is only a two-player game. So to set up, you're going to put the board out in the middle of the table here. You're going to shuffle all of the tiles in this bag, mix them around, and then you're going to draw them out and send them around the board. There's some arrows, and it goes kind of like this. So I've done that already. You're going to put the 4 noble cards out, which I've done. The 3 privileges will be out. Whoever's going second will get a privilege, so I'll be going first, they'll be going second. Then you'll shuffle the stacks of cards. You'll put 5 of the level 1s, 4 of the level 2s, and 3 of the level 3s. And you're going to have this off to the side, so you know how to end the game. So just like in base Splendor, we're trying to collect gems and gold to pay for cards, which is going to give us points to try to end the game. So we're going to try to be the first player to get 20 points, 10 crowns, or 10 points in a single color of cards. So that's a little bit different there. It feels pretty different, but there's still a lot of similar DNA throughout this. So let's just go ahead and start playing. So I'll go first. So on my turn, I have a couple optional actions that I could do. I could, if I had any privileges, I could spend one and take any gem off this board, gem or pearl, pink is pearl, but not gold. And then I could take it, put it in my supply if I had a privilege, but I don't, so I can't do that. Other thing you can do is, if the board is empty, you can refill the board from the bag. When you do that, your opponent gets a privilege, and then they get a privilege because you're going to be getting a new board set up. And if you ever have to take a privilege, but there aren't any and they're from your opponent, you can steal from your opponent. And if you have 3, you can't take anymore. So those are the optional actions. Then you're going to do one of the main actions, which is take some gems, and I'll explain that when I do it. Reserve a card, either from one of the face-ups or from the top of the deck, and take a gold, or buy a card that you from up here or that you have in your reserve. And then if you meet the criteria of the crowns, which is kind of like the nobles in the base game of Splendor, but you get 3 crowns, you can take this card, and then you can take a second card when you get 6 crowns. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So first thing I want to do is I want to get some gems. Now, you see some stuff here on the board. This is going to be how you're going to get privileges. If you ever take 2 pearls, you get a privilege. If you take 3 of the same color gem, you get a privilege, and when you refill the bag, the other player gets a privilege. So when you take gems, you can take them either orthogonally adjacent or diagonal. You cannot take up from 1 to 3 gems, but you can't take any around a corner. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to try to take some good stuff to be able to start buying. So let's do, I'm going to take these 3. So I'll take these 3, bring them over here, and that's my turn. Now this player, they have a privilege. I think they're going to go ahead and use their privilege. And they're going to take this black one for their privilege because you get a free gem. And then they're going to take this one, and this one because you can take diagonal, orthogonally or diagonal, which is interesting. Then it's back to me. I'm going to take these 3 here. So now I have 2 whites, 2 blues, a pink, and a green. That player's turn. They have 2 blacks and 2 reds. Let's see. I think I want to do this. Take a black, a pearl, and a green. Okay, and then back to me, and I'm going to buy this card. So I take this card, put it in front of me, just like this, and you spend your gem tokens just like you would in the base game of Splendor, and you put them back in the bag. So you're refilling the bag, which will be used to refill the board later. Then, just like in base Splendor, I now have a permanent black gem that I can use, and this token here, some of the cards have icons, which in this case means they're all laid out back here. I get to take another turn, which is pretty nice. So let's refill this. And what do I want to do? Let's do these three here. So I'll take these three. So now I have 2 reds, a black, a white, or 2 greens, a black, a white, and a red. All right, other player's turn. They have 3 blacks and 2 reds. So they're just going to take this one. This one costs them 2 reds and 2 blacks. They'll go back into the bag. And that one is, that icon is, take a token matching the color of the card from the board. This icon right here. So they're going to get to take a white token from the board. And that's their turn. We refill. And back to me. I need a crystal. So I'm actually going to reserve this card right here. I'm going to reserve this one. So I take it like that. Then I take a gold. And that's my turn. So that's kind of similar to the main game. Flip that. That player's turn. They can't do anything, I don't think, right now. So they're going to actually just take these 3 tokens. And then I'm going to refill the bag. So they're going to get a privilege because I'm refilling the bag. So I shuffle them all around, and I start at the center, and I'm going to refill per the lines on the board. I think that's it. Yep. And now for my turn, I'm going to take 3 blues, and if you take 3 of the same color, you get a privilege. So I now have a privilege. All right. That player's turn. And they're going to... I'm going to take these 3. So they're going to take these. So they now have 4 black, 2 pink, a whole lot of stuff. Now on my turn, I'm going to complete this card. 2 blues, 2 reds. Oh no, I don't have all that. Just kidding. I don't have that yet. So we'll keep that there. What do I need? I need another red. So I'm going to take these 3. Alright. Done. Their turn. They're going to do... They're going to take this one and reserve it. So they're going to take this gem. And then I can now do this card. So that costs 2 blue, 2 red, 1 black, which I have, and 1 pink, which I'm going to use the gold as a pink because it is a wild. Now, this one has a special icon, which is that right there. This is a colorless card, but when you put it on a stack, it becomes that card. So it always has to be done after another card. It can never be the start of a row. So I now have 2 black cards that I can start working with. This player's turn, I think they're going to go ahead and complete this one. So they will do 5 black. So they have 4 black and a gold and 2 whites. And they now have 1 point. So they are on the board. All right. And that's how the game's going to work. You're going to keep doing that until someone meets one of the thresholds. A couple things I didn't show you. So crowns. If you get 3 crowns, so let's say I have this and let's find another crown. This. So I have these 3 cards. I have 3 crowns. You take any of these cards. All of these cards, 3 of these cards are going to have special abilities. One's just going to be with 3 points, so I would take this. So now I have 3 crowns and I have 7 points to try to meet my threshold of one of these in-game scores. The last thing that I didn't show you, I think that's it, honestly. There's a couple other icons. There's the scroll here. When you take a card with that, you get a privilege. And when you take a card that has the hand with the token, you get to steal a non-gem from an opponent. And that's everything. That's how the game works. That's how it's going to keep going until someone meets one of these 3 criteria. The game is over, and they are the winner. That's how you play Splendor Duel. Let's go up the top, see what we think about it. All right, well, that was Splendor Duel. So let's talk about components, because that's what we look at first. There's not a ton of components in this box. We have decks of cards. They're going to be different types of cards we're trying to acquire. They're going to have the cost, but they give you crowns, any special abilities, all that kind of stuff. Really nice art. I think the art in this one stands up to just like the other one, which we'll get back to some more of the comparisons later. So 3 decks of cards. Cards are really nice quality. Linen finish. I like all that. Let's put those back on there. We have privilege tokens, which are pretty slick as well. Little scrolls here that look like this. There's 3 of those. Those are really nice. You can paint those up should you be so inclined. The little board here is really nice. You know, that goes between you. I like that the actual board is on the part that, you know, bends out. So when it sits on the table, it'll go a little flat. I enjoy that. How you're going to win. Score in-game conditions. That's nice. But the nicest components in this are the tokens. And the tokens are fantastic. These are littler versions of basically the bigger ones. So there's the Onyx, I think. Ruby. I'm not great with gems. I know this is gold. So it has all the same gems as the basic game, except for, if I can find it, this game now has a pearl, which is cool. So there's no pink gem in the original game. So those are the components. The components are really nice. Rule book is great. Has icons, turn order on the back. I appreciate all that. Now, let's talk about how this game compares to Splendor a little bit and how it's different, because it is a significantly amount different. So, first off, the crux of the game is collecting tokens, using those tokens to acquire cards. Now, in the base game, which I don't think we have a video on our channel, there's only 2 things you can do in your turn. You can take tokens, and then you can cash those tokens in to buy cards, or you can take a gold, reserve the card, and then, you know, fulfill it later. Gold's still wild. So that's the whole game, whole base game. You're racing to get, I think, 13 points or something. I can never remember the points. But in this one, you have all of that similar DNA. You're trying to get tokens. You're trying to trade the gems and the tokens in for cards to score points to meet one of the 3 in-game conditions. But this one now gives you a board that you're going to be putting the tiles on, which you saw in the overview. And you're going to be drafting these tiles off of here based on the actions you're allowed to take. You're allowed to take up to 3 tokens. The interesting thing about this is there's no token limit. So I think in the base game you could have 8 or something like that. In regular Splendor you could have 8. In this one you can have as many as you want. But eventually someone's going to have to refill this board. And when they refill this board, they're going to have a new board to work with. The other player is going to get a privilege. That's cool. These privileges are also different. You are trying to get these to be able to take extra tokens at the beginning of your turn before you actually draft the tokens for your turn. Well, it doesn't seem like a lot. Getting 1 extra token before you draft 3 is a big deal. So these are nice. This one also includes some crowns. So the base game of Splendor has these nobility tiles where if you get a certain number of each type of card, like I need 3 blacks, 3 whites, and 3 greens, I can claim this nobility tile. This one, you're trying to get crowns on your cards. So I showed you some of the cards that have crowns. So let's see if I can find some now. Probably not. Yeah, so like if I draft enough cards, pay for them with tokens, I'll get crowns. If I can get 3 or 6 crowns, I can take one of these cards. And that brings me to the third thing, which is new win conditions. So in the base game, regular Splendor, the win conditions are just hit the point threshold. In this one, you have 3. Trying to get to 20 points, which is this. 10 points in crowns. 10 crowns, not 10 points, 10 crowns. Or, this one's really cool, 10 points in a single color of card. That is nice. That's nice. So there's not just one way to end the game and win. There's 3 different ways that you can go for. Gives you different variety on what you want to do, how you want to play it, and, you know, some variability because I don't have to try the same thing every single time. And I dig that. So all of that being said, this game's fantastic. I like regular Splendor. I might play it. I've probably played it out. It's still fun. It's just not something that I like. Let's play some Splendor because it's just grabbing tokens. But this one gives you basically a little bit more game around the grabbing tokens, trading tokens in for a card game that Splendor has going on. And I appreciate that. I love that you're putting stuff in a bag, pulling stuff out of the bag randomly. Always a favorite of mine here. Love that. And it's just a nice back and forth. Trying to defeat your opponent and give more points to them before the end of the game. I love it. So fantastic game. I'm going to give this a BGM accept the seal. This is going to get an 8 out of 10 on BGG, which is a 4 out of 5 wrenches on our arbitrary wrench scale. That means absolutely nothing, but we like to give it the games that we enjoy, and that is what I'm going to do. So that is Splendor Duel from Space Cowboys. I'm Jason with the Board Game Mechanics, and as always, keep gaming.